folks. The Field and Garden Podcast is honored to be partnering with the Growing for Market magazine. They have been publishing practical ideas and information for direct market flower and vegetable growers for over 31 years. All the articles are written by farmers who get their hands dirty and know what they're doing. The magazine is still on the same mission as when the Flower Farmer book author Len Basinski founded this magazine back in 1992 to connect growers with the best ideas from other growers. There is dedicated flower content in every magazine, a decade's worth of back issues, and over 1,600 archived articles from writers like Aaron Benzenkane, Gretel Adams, Pamela and Frank Arnowski, and Jonathan and Megan Lease, all available on the website. With 10 new issues every year available on paper, digital, or both, you're guaranteed to find something to fine-tune your farm in growing for market. So if you do farmers markets, CSA, farm stands, pick your own, florist sales, or wholesaling, whether you're a commercial grower or you just want to grow like one, subscribe to Growing for Market for the nitty-gritty details of growing, marketing, and the business of local farming. And I have a special offer for you. Use the coupon code WORKSHOP to get 25% off any subscription to the original Farmer to Farmer magazine at growingformarket.com. Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of the podcast Field and Garden. It is your host and friend, Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I'm really glad you have dropped in here, and I value you. I know how many choices we have, not only from podcasts, but just things to do with your time, right? And today is a subject that I have been chewing on for a long time, and I'm just going to give you kind of an overview thought, because it's just much too deep for a podcast, actually. First I was going to name this episode Business Startup Tips, and then I thought, wished I had known then what I know now. And I'm still not certain what the name will actually be, but this is my real look back and just think to myself, if only I had done it this way. How much time, sweat, a ton of tears, money, blood, and morale, and missed opportunities I would have saved if I would start out today like I ended up making myself where I actually got to, but it was years and years after I started farming that I came to this conclusion. And that's what I'm sharing today. And so, friends, if you are enjoying this podcast, it would help me so much if you would post a review. Doesn't have to be a lot of words. Just rate it and post a little bit, because that helps the podcast app that you listen to this on to show my podcast to more people that are browsing. Basically, it works just like Amazon. For every X number of reviews, they show your stuff to more people. So reviews matter. If you want to help another business more in a very simple way, as far as simple as in it costs you nothing but a few minutes, is to post a review for them. And that's what I'm asking you to do for this podcast, so that we are so overwhelmed with, or overjoyed, I guess, with the reach we've had with our podcast, but it'll just get better and better with reviews, because we just want to bring more and more episodes to you guys. So I appreciate that. And, over on the gardenersworkshop.com, we have tons of resources for gardeners and farmers. Lots of free resources. And then we also have online courses. We have several on-demand courses, some that are pretty much focused for the home gardener on seed starting, which a lot of farmers also take. And the Easy Cut Flower Garden, which is all about how having a 3x10 cutting garden will produce 2 big old handfuls of flowers a week during the season. And then, friends, we have a whole library of flower business on-demand courses. We have Making Workshops Work for You with Jenny Love, the No-Till Micro Scale Flower Farm with Jonathan and Megan Lease. We now have on-demand courses on starting a collective, which is like a co-op for farmers, which I believe is the future of the domestic flower industry. So you'll find Collectives 101 over there. And now, friends, we also have Preparing to Sell to Florist with Ellen Frost. And so we have a lot of great free and paid resources, as well as our big schools over at thegardenersworkshop.com. So don't forget to check those out. So this is not going to be a very long podcast, and I'm sure just because I've just said this, it will turn out to be long. But I see a wonderful movement, not necessarily, not in the flower farming world, but in the business world and in some of the lifestyle, postings, it's talking really about a basic concept that I'm a big believer in, and it's cash is king. Going debt-free and resolving your debt if you have it, and saving your money and buying things with cash, which I can remember back 25 years ago when I heard somebody say this. I thought to myself, that is not possible. Yes, it is, friends. It is definitely possible. But it has to become your most focused step before you do all the other stuff. And I want to say is, why would you do this? Because, friends, it is the most liberating thing on the planet, in my opinion. Freeing is to not have debt, to have a little cash backup stash. It gives you such freedom. It opens your mind to thoughts and possibilities and ideas of things you've never dreamed about before, because whether you realize it or not, you are under the gun. When you owe other people money, it's bad enough personally, but when that happens in business, friends, you are a prisoner to that. And I'm not saying that there's not good debt, and there is good debt like buying land and real estate and investing perhaps in major pieces of equipment for your business, but those are not the steps that we're talking about taking for the first few years of your business. You've got to get in business, learn how to run business, learn what your business is, and start the positive cash flow for that to all happen. But that's not, this is a really big subject. My recommendation is to anybody that wants to start any kind of business, whether it's a flower farming business, a design business, a making jewelry business, a baking business, any kind of business, is to start with cash and keep it cash. And what does that mean? That means to not go into debt. And I'll say it, friends, I did it all those years ago. I made credit card purchases for bulbs and things before I should have, and then the pressure was on, and then you had to pay for them. And start with cash and keep it cash. I'm speaking from experience. And so somebody sitting right now that's maybe got a full-time job, then you're contributing to the family coffers. Your income from your day job is contributing to whether it's the mortgage payment or the groceries or the insurance or whatever it is, but your income counts towards your family's budget. Then, friends, you can't expect to start a business and quit your job and have the paycheck that you used to have. It just does not work that way. That's not the way business works. I mean, I hear people say, oh, it takes 5 years, it takes 7 years. I'm not a believer in that either. I am a believer in sharing with you how I think that you could start a flower farming, growing business and selling them and making money the quickest ever. That's, what I'm all about. The rest of the growing your business, expanding your business can come after you've figured out the business. And that's what I see people doing over and over again, friends. They're growing before they even know the business, before they have their business figured out, how to run it, how to farm, how to sell, having enough customers. They are, as I have been known to say before, they are in elementary school, but they are trying to do graduate work. They are decades ahead of themselves sometimes. So start with cash and keep it with cash. And how do you do that? So I listen to, I follow a lot of business people, and one of them who I will share with you, Jasmine Starr, who is I just love Jasmine. She teaches you how to sell on social media, and she is over the top sometimes, but she has excellent ideas and business ideas. And I heard her say one day, and this was the beginning of my wake up of, if I had to do it all over again, this is how I would do it. She was addressing these people. I guess she had gotten some DMs and stuff about people saying how they started their business and they're not making any money. They can't pay their rent or whatever. And I can just remember, this was a couple years ago, so I'll never find the post. But she got up close to the camera and she said, people, if you need to pay your rent, you need to get a part-time job, or you need to get a daytime job and do your side hustle in the evenings. This perception that people have that they're going to start their business and have all this cash flow that's going to be going into their pocket is just not true. And that began my journey of realizing, and when I look back, that's kind of how I did it. In fact, to not be too hard on myself back in the beginning, I was working a day job at Denby Animal Hospital, and then I went on to work at Ziegler Plumbing during the day, and I was coming home at night and on weekends planting, cutting, and figuring out how to sell. And I was selling to florists then. I had a day off. That's how Tuesdays got to be my delivery day. Tuesday was my day off, and I could do that. So Monday night, I was coming home from a, 7 to 4 job and coming home and cutting flowers to deliver the next day. And you have to face the fact that you might need to continue your daytime job, friends, for a couple of years is what I did. But back to this starting with cash, keeping it with cash, to say, all right, I am going to get, before you even start your job, your business, real hard planning, you're going to say, all right, I am going to take a part-time job, which I don't know where you are, but where I am here in the Mid-Atlantic, there are help signs wanted everywhere. Everywhere you look in businesses, on the back of trucks, you should be able to find a side hustle to get your cash, to build your money up. And contrary to what many people in our industry say, I do believe that you can start with just a couple $1,000s, which would be a side hustle through the winter, if that, right? Think about a Christmas job, help. For the couple $1,000s, and here is something I am really passionate about now. So if you get $2,000 together to launch your little flower farm growing business, my first expense is $500 to go into a savings account. Friends, you have got to build a backup fund. And if you do it out of the gate, it empowers you to be so powerful. And then my belief is that you should put 5% of every dollar that comes back to you through sales. So that means that 5 cents of every dollar is going to go into that savings account. Do you know how powerful it is to have money sitting off to buy something? I mean, after the thought is that you should have 2 or 3 months of business expenses in a savings account. Well, hopefully you don't have any expenses other than buying more seed, more compost, after these initial expenses we're going to talk about for a while. But to put 5% away in this savings account until you get a nice little nest egg that you say, all right, I'm putting that out there way out in left field, and I am only touching that in emergencies. This is a great thing that you should also have for your personal life, right? I'm not touching that unless it's truly an emergency. It's not an emergency to buy 2,000 tulip bulbs, y'all. I've heard it. That is not an emergency. That's graduate work, okay? So you throw that money over there and you just forget about it until the day you need it. Then you can start creating that 5% account for your dream account. That is the seed money to grow your business with equipment, expansion, to buy another piece of land someday. No, you probably won't save enough, but you could have your nest egg to buy for a down payment. I do believe that real estate is good debt. And so a side hustle. So there's this flip-flops. In the beginning, getting a side hustle to get your nest egg to get started. A couple $1,000 and 500 of that you're setting aside in your savings account to get started in the right way. Then the 1,500 you're going to use to launch your little flower farm, which, may just be your side hustle now, right? While you continue to do your day job because your family depends on it. You can't just stop doing that. And what are the things that came to my mind that you just can't live without? I didn't put these at the top, but I'm going to now. How I literally started my business. And y'all aren't going to believe this when I tell you, is with a shovel and a wheelbarrow. I wheelbarrowed so much compost. You can have it delivered, or my husband has a dump truck, so we were able to get our own. A shovel, a wheelbarrow, and my husband also did come with a walk-behind tiller, but friends, you can hire somebody to till your garden. I mean, very inexpensively. So with that $1,500, what I would spend my money on if I didn't have a shovel and a wheelbarrow and access to a tiller, you either have one, you're not going to go buy one at this point, you're going to rent somebody. You can rent them, or you can have somebody just come do it. So that's going to be part of your expense. The first thing I would do in the fall before I launched my flower farm is to get a soil test. That is the most inexpensive look into your business expense you're going to have. Then what else am I going to spend money on out of that $1,500 is soil amendments. Compost for sure. Enough to cover your beds, your planting area with a couple inches. And that's something that you're going to redo every time you turn over a crop, because we are talking about starting out with annuals, friends. That is the lowest investment, highest return, biggest bang for your buck. So every time you replant, you're going to put a little bit more compost, so you don't have to get it all at once. That's going to be an ongoing expense. Then, friends, what is the lowest investment, highest output? Starting from seed, folks, and sticking with those high demand annuals that we just grow. And I have 24 years in and I'm still planting the same ones, y'all, over and over and over again. And Vegetables Love Flowers, my book, which is really about a 3-season cutting garden, kind of highlights those workhorses. So seeds and seed starting equipment are definitely a portion of that initial $1,500. And then I hear a lot of people talk about how expensive irrigation is. Friends, if you're starting off slow and small, like I recommend, the irrigation suppliers, my two favorites are Dripworks.com, and I'll put a link down below. If you're on the West Coast, Dripworks. If you're on the East Coast, BerryHillIrrigation.com. They have like market kits. Those are kits for a market-sized garden, fairly big gardens. I mean, that are very affordable and inexpensive when you consider what they relieve you of. Watering, chores, as well as ensuring your success. So irrigation is definitely part of that initial investment. And then fertilizer, if unless your soil test tells you otherwise, just a good general purpose organic dry fertilizer. You can find the one that I use on our website, thegardenersworkshop.com. Take a look at that and see if that's what we use. That is, no matter what a soil test says, we add that at each to our soil at each incorporation. So you'll need fertilizer perhaps, but not a lot of it. Just what you need. You're not buying stockpiles, friends, at this point in time. You're just getting what you need. Then, of course, flower support netting is key if you're a cut flower grower. And you got to have a good pair of clippers. You can also find all of that at thegardenersworkshop.com to see what you need and what I use. Then your supplies. So what I just mentioned will get you in business. That'll get you growing and having something to sell. Then to sell, you need rubber bands. We use size 32s. You can find those online, or guess what? You can go down to your local office supply store and find them. You got to have buckets. Those are in short supply right now during the pandemic, but I've never bought a bucket for years. I did buy them one time, and then I learned that you can go to the bakery department, you can go to flower departments and supermarkets. They often have surpluses of buckets and say, hey, I'm a flower farmer. Got any buckets that you don't want? You need to start doing that. You do need to spend money on conditioning supplies. You can find that on the website and learn more about that. And, if you are going to be selling at a farmer's market, a tent is essential. I love Easy Ups. You can often find those at the big club stores. Easy Up brand costs a little bit more, but it's worth the investment. I still have the original Easy Up that I got 20 years ago, y'all. You might need a new canopy after 10 years, but they're awesome. Friends, that is the basics. That is how, you can do subscriptions. You can do farmers markets. You can do member-only markets. There are so many ways to sell your flowers and florists that this is all you need to do it. Stick with the basics. If my course doesn't teach you anything else, that's the overall message. I literally stuck with the basics through my whole career to keep my investment low because I can't have hoop houses. So a lot of the crops that are high investment or high risk, I call them, really do best in structures. It makes it easier. It's less risky. And I can't have structures. So I stuck with the basics all these years. Remember to save 5 cents of every dollar. Once you have your emergency fund set up, then you start having your growth fund. That's the money that you're going to have to be able to pay cash to invest in things like maybe it is you can have structures and 5 years in you're ready to do that. Save your money. And here is the rub, y'all. Flower growing business is a 12-month job no matter where you live. You may not be harvesting 12 months. You may not be planting 12 months, but you need to be working 12 months. And here is what most people skip. 80% of your 12 months should be focused on selling. 20% on growing. What do you think most people do? They focused 80% on growing and 20% on selling, and that's why they don't sell out all the time. That's why they don't sell their flowers. Friends, if you find this interesting in my concepts, refreshing, I would invite you to check out my online course, Flower Farming School Online, the basics, annual crops, marketing, and more. Enrollment only happens once a year for 5 short days. And then school runs, it's 6 weeks long. It's me and you and getting you started. And it's me bootstrapping you and telling you what to dump out of your life to get down to business and what is important. And you can learn all about that at thegardenersworkshop.com. Go to my course page, get on my wait list so you don't miss registration. And I send out a lot of great resources to help you along the way. And I'm telling you, it is so much easier than what we make it, friends. Start with cash, keep it cash, stick with the basics, and spend 80% of your time marketing and selling and 20% growing. And you too can make a cut flower business be a part of your life, not a consuming nightmare that you waste 2 years trying to do and then throw in the towel. All right, friends, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Once again, please post a review if you're getting a lot out of this. Share it with your friends. Check out my YouTube channel. Follow me on social media. I do lives. Jump on my Gardener's Workshop. Sorry, y'all. Gardener's Workshop live shop phone app. And join me for the live shopping show, y'all. It's QVC with me as your host, selling gardening stuff and showing you my harvest. Ton of fun. All right, folks, until we meet again, I can't wait to see what I name this episode. Ciao.